Hello, everyone.
So
Hello.
hi all. Hi. Um yeah, um Hello everyone. I'm happy to welcome you to our second AMA session with KYVE today. My name is Yuriy. I'm Let's Not founder and I'm happy to welcome our guests, Fabian and John from KYVE. Hi guys, what's up?
Hey, nice to meet you. I hope I'm unmuted. Yeah, looks good. Perfect. No, it's great. Everything is going fine. We're all in summer mood. Everything is coming along. We're happy. A lot of stuff happened actually since we last talked. So I'm really happy going over everything. Yeah, John, you want? I don't know. Want to
No,
go?
all good. Happy to talk to you again. Yeah, especially because actually, it's funny. I'm seeing a trend here now. Last time we talked to you was right before the tech team headed to East Denver, and now the KYVE team is
Yes.
heading to ECC. So
Right.
a little bit of a
In
trend going here.
in France, right?
Yes, correct.
I hope
Nice.
to see you guys there.
Of
Oh, you're gonna
course.
be
Next
there?
year.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. We're gonna be
We
there
will see.
for Nebula Summit and EFCC.
Yes, cool. I'll try to join you guys.
Amazing.
So, this is our second AMA session, like you mentioned, and I loved our AMA session last time. And I'm sure everyone knows you already, guys. But still, could you please introduce yourself and tell a bit about KYVE project and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for those who don't know me yet, I'm Fabian. I am the co-founder together with John and CEO over at KYVE. I'm a software developer from Germany. Everything is, I don't know, it was pretty, I don't know, it's just me, me being me. Yeah, no, always passionate about crypto, coding, got into the crypto space in 2020, founded KYVE together with John in February 2021. And then actually, fun story, last year, ECC was my first crypto conference ever. It was just me, Fazila. I hadn't had met John in person due to COVID back then and everything. Like a year later, we're now going there with like 10 people, which is absolutely insane. So, yeah, just crazy year, a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm now just John, next fellow German.
Exactly. So, so if everyone doesn't know me already, I'm John. I'm the co-founder and CTO of KYVE with Fabian, as he already mentioned. Yeah, got started in crypto in the summer of 2020, very similar to Fabian in the Riewe ecosystem, which is where I met Fabian when he was working on Verify, which was like a verification platform on top of Riewe. We worked on a lot of we worked on a lot of projects like that, as well as fun weekend projects. And then of course, when we had the opportunity to start KYVE, we obviously took it. Yeah, like Fabian mentioned, I recently moved to Germany, so now I'm also like a fellow German, enjoying the office days with the rest of the tech team as well. No, excited to continue our discussion.
Cool. So, and for those who watching us also for the first time, tell me please about KYVE project, how you started.
For sure. KYVE started out actually as a bounty. So it wasn't really, like some founders, they have like the crazy vision of like, I want to like revolutionize the world, like since, I don't know, 5 years old, whatever. Actually, none of this was KYVE. So it was John and me hacking along. We found a bounty on Gitcoin from Parity and Arweave, and it was bridging Polkadot data over to Arweave. And we're like, well, it's a cool, easy weekend test. Let's do it. So it started. We got, I don't know. Then we kind of like we realized actually we cannot only build this for Polkadot, we can build this for like any other blockchain out there, and we can like really create this awesome tooling mostly for developers where we like store all the data in like one central place, but everything is decentralized, but like at one place, right? We can access all the data from, and this was just a big problem in the crypto space. It was back then a year ago, and it still is, right? Like accessing all the data. Because like data is pretty condensed. I mean, we see all those like infrastructure projects like really taken off, right? And they basically all need to get the data from some point, and this is going to be KYVE, and this is how it got started. And then yeah, team grew and grew, as I said. It's absolutely insane now looking back to it. And yeah, no, we made some really good progress. We launched our incentivized testnet 10 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago, maybe something like that. We've seen some amazing usage since then. And yeah, no, this is really just kind of like the flow of KYVE. It's a pretty hacky, pretty developer focused, and just straight up building.
Cool. You told that the you started on the Gitcoin, right? So it was, you announced it probably like a um, like a project, and you earn some donations from the Gitcoin. This is what the start point, right? And
Yeah.
this is everything grew to this great project, really, how what you have right now, right? And I wanted to really, there's so much exciting news, to be honest, the last days, I would say. And also, I read in Medium that you guys had finished your third round funding, right? And this is like amazing. Yeah, just could you please just give us more how it went, and what's the numbers?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. This round, to be completely honest, like we're just overwhelmed, I would say, by the success I think we really have with KYVE right now. Yeah, we got the opportunity to raise a third round in like early this year, so to say, and then of course we did the switch to Cosmos, which was pretty crazy as well. So we had a crazy raise and a crazy tech change, and this is how it ended up. I think we raised 9 million, like around $9 million in total. Absolutely insane. And it's, but like the thing is actually like running like a business at that scale is also like quite costive. Like in the beginning, would have never thought that actually like you could ever burn through that money, but I promise you guys, you can burn through that money. And yeah, no, it's just insane. Like we need to, I mean, steadily right grow the team. We're gonna have like a mainnet launch, which is quite costive and things like that. So this is, money is put to good use, right? Let's put it like that. And yeah, no, crazy what has happened. And yeah, all like the tech odyssey we did for like the ones that are like just tuning in now. We were completely Arweave based in the beginning, and then transitioned over to being Solidity based, so like deployed a Moonbeam, so like very EVM based. Then in February, actually a few weeks after we had our AMA, right, we're like, well, actually we need a bit more like flexibility, scalability for our needs. Like
we will talk in the details about all this stuff.
perfect.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
stop there then.
yeah.
And
Cool. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So, but in back to this third round. Do you guys has names who was leading the fundraising or something like that? Maybe you can share some partnerships. It will be really cool. Just also,
yeah.
if you have them already, you can announce. I'm pretty sure maybe you have something what you can't share with us right now, but maybe please.
Absolutely. So the lead for the third one was Distributed Global. They have invested in, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've invested in both previous rounds as well. So like we have worked with them quite closely already. So like they knew what we are up to. We were vibing really nice together, very technical focused fund as well, right? So really kind of like decided going with that, and then did some more like strategic additions around that. All of our rounds have always been quite tech VC focused, right? Because like we really wanted to get that like a tech experience to the team, especially John and me being first time crypto founders, right? And like of course like getting the advice from the outside is kind of like really what we needed and what we still need. And I would say this is kind of like the whole vibe going with the third round as well, like pretty tech focused, crypto savvy, crypto native VC, so to say. Absolutely.
And about the partnership, right? I mean, I'm reading a lot that you guys have some kind of I would say I call this partnership. Please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But you can have a partnership with Massa Axelar, right?
Yes.
And probably you got used by Solana as well and Moonbeam, so you have kind of partnership in this direction as well, right? And now Cosmos is, this is like, and yeah, we will talk about the decision you guys to switch to the Cosmos. It's really interesting why you took it, and what kind of side effects it has, and about a new testnet phase right now, which you started probably a week or a few weeks ago. What is it about right now? I knew before you involved a lot of people to perform tasks, kind of different on the various complexity, technical one, and also the kind of not technical one, right? more marketing. And what about this testnet phase? What are the main goals you want to achieve with it?
Yeah, maybe quickly answering the first part of the question with all the partnerships we have, right? So it's super interesting because KYVE started out being basically like partnership only, right? It was just always us working with the other blockchain to like store their data, right? This is, I would still like the main use case for the partnerships we have, right? Except for Excella is something pretty exciting and pretty new coming up in terms of partnerships, right? Which is actually going to be the first partnership that allows users basically bridging data outside of KYVE, right? Except what Excella allows you, right? Like being able to bridge data from A to B. So they're like super cool use cases basically where you can store like pricing data through KYVE, right? Then being able to basically get this pricing information down to like an Ethereum contract, right? To access it there and things like that. So super excited basically how like Excel allows us the outside part, like basically opening out KYVE to the data lake, like out to the world, right? Well, of course, we always have like partnerships like FMOS and so on, right? Where they have this really interesting complexity of like having EVM data, but also Cosmos data, and like how do you store and handle that? And we have two pools set up for that, one EVM, one Cosmos based. And like that's also where we see some traction happening, but I think might go deeper into that later as well, so we'll not like foreshadow too much. But that's like something super interesting of like the new like hyper use cases we see coming up. And then the second answer to the question, like with the incentivized testing, absolutely right. The first phase of the incentivized testing was more focused towards like growth, community growth, and like community like social hacking, that type of phase, right? And then we step back a bit and like refocus in the second phase really on like the core and the tech stuff, right? I think we mostly only giving out points right now for tech tasks or like load testing tasks and stuff like that to like really fine tune our chain, right? Like really improve things for like the node operators and like the people maintaining and running our system most of the time, right? That's like just the second phase we're focusing on. And of course, after incentivized testing ends, it will not be an immediate mainnet launch, right? There will be some phase in between. So of course, right, we then start to work with like grants, bounties, and so on, right, to like keep developers incentivized, keep other users incentivized, kind of like doing that. And yeah, it's just kind of like the other plans we have coming out for that.
I see. Okay. You mentioned Hermos, right? You have the partnership with Hermos as well. It's something. By the way, what do you think? Is it the kind of similar situation where the Moonbeam communicates with Polkadot and also has the EVM, right? And it seems for me like Hermos doing something the same, like similar. You have a Cosmos and you have also the bridge to the EVM. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, especially I think for me, like just maybe jumping kind of like off topic on that question, because like it's super interesting, right? We see all those like EVM compatibility layers coming up on those other chains, right? And for me, it really feels like apparently there's like a big need of like developers being very educated in writing Solidity, writing smart contracts on EVM, but like realizing that, and I think this also ties in with like our change later on, right? Like realizing EVM doesn't give you the scalability you sometimes need, right? So then basically being able to just outsource the code you've written that's audited, that's tested, and just run it on a different subsystem, right? Is pretty beneficial. And just like this is why we see so many use cases of those, like Aurora, Onia, right? FMOS on Cosmos, and Moonbeam on Polkadot, like the three big kind of networks being like covered by that, right? Which is just super cool, seeing how like we get even more interoperable on that layer.
It's true, yeah. I'm also waiting for something kind of who can connect Solana as well. Yeah. We'll see. Okay. Yeah. You probably answer. I have look. We talked to you guys 6 months ago, right? And what has been changed during these 6 months? Maybe you can share your changes begins how you moved to Cosmos and why. Yeah,
exactly. So like Fabian mentioned earlier, it was actually very shortly after we talked in February that we made the switch from EVM to Cosmos. The main driving factor there was really the fact that we were noticing scalability problems. Now, not saying that EVM is not really good for certain applications. It is definitely. But the thing is like if you're trying to build a full-on ecosystem with like nodes in your network, of course, then you have problems where you're competing for block space. And that's just kind of the way that EVM is designed, because of course you need gas to play an important factor into the ecosystem. And so like the example that I always like to give is that, say, for example, a contract, like a really hot NFT project is dropping on Ethereum mainnet, right? Like Overland, or I forget what it was called, like the Yuga Labs thing that dropped, and like people were paying like $10,000 to just send normal transactions, right? Which is insane if you think about it, because then there's no way that we can possibly incentivize the nodes in our network to then like act during that time, because the payouts just will never match the amount of gas that they need to pay. And so like the big deciding factor there was actually competing for block space was something that we kind of always had in the back of our mind, but then kind of really became a problem. And so, yeah, so obviously we started looking into different app chains, and of course Cosmos was on the top of our list. And yeah, the Ignite CLI, at the time it was called Starport. If anybody is familiar with it, it was like a very easy way for basically us to scaffold everything we needed around the Cosmos SDK, with basically just leaving us the core functionality that we needed to then build out our own custom logic.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cosmos SDK can cover a lot of topics. It's you have your DAO layer from the out of the box, and you have you can configure. I mean, also the transaction fee could be a really zero. You can really make a transaction with the zero fees and so on. Okay, and yeah, so you moved your I could just say you move your consensus layer, right, to the Cosmos. Yeah, but
Exactly.
still, yeah, but still data stored in KYVE blockchain, right? Yeah, so it means that you had to build the bridges and probably kind of IPs for communication between the Cosmos and KYVE. Am I right?
Kind of. So the way that we've structured it at the moment, so like the previous architecture was that you had what we're now calling protocol nodes. At the time, they were just nodes in the KYVE network. And what they were doing is they were taking data from all these different blockchain networks, they were pulling it down, validating it, and then permanently storing it on Arweave. That was all managed from a consensus layer point of view on an EVM-based smart contract. And also the token was an ERC20, and all that was just managed by EVM. Now we've kind of, with the migration to Cosmos and specifically Tendermint consensus, what we've had to do instead is those nodes are just one piece of the puzzle. And then the other piece of the puzzle is your normal Tendermint nodes that you see running on Osmosis or Cosmos Hub or Evmos or Juno or whatever. And so now we kind of have these two different nodes, where the chain nodes, which are the ones, you know, kind of providing the security layer for the protocol, and then the protocol is still very actually much the same from like the user's point of view. Nothing changed at all from running a protocol node between EVM and Cosmos, because the only thing that it changed in the back end was actually just communicating to the EVM smart contract versus communicating to the Cosmos chain. Yeah.
See. Okay. That sounds really interesting. Let's see. Yeah, and probably you already answered the question. What is the behind technologies? Yeah. Okay. And let's see. Let's go. Okay. Let's go more abstract. You say we can store data, right? And now the main use case, what I see, we can store the data from the ledger, right? And you can theoretically stream in data from the any ecosystem. Let's take, I don't know, Solana, or let's take a Moon, the Polkadot, and store to KYVE, right? But why we need KYVE? I mean, why we need to store this data? Can you explain me the problem? What we are solving? Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, you Fabian mentioned that there was the problem, yeah, to store this whole data, and now it is the problem, and why we have this problem. Is it not enough place to store it, or let's
yeah, actually, this is basically a problem introduced by thinking of how blockchains work, right? Is where if a system is like fully decentralized, well, then every node in the system has to have the data, right?
Okay. Yep.
And the problem is that if the data is ever growing, it's going to just become more costly for node operators to maintain it, right? You can think about it. You have your phone, right? You start out with like 16 gigabytes. Now it's full. You buy 32 gigabytes. Now it's for 128 gigabytes, right? And so on, right? And the problem is also like even on Ethereum and stuff for like the developers here, we all know that like gas costs are so important, and gas costs are really tied to your code, right? And so they become really like an art, coding as efficient as possible, because the call to storage is the most expensive one, right? That's the only reason, by the way, why we don't store NFT metadata on chain, because it's just too expensive. No one would pay. Well, people pay 100K for an NFT, right? But people wouldn't pay. Not everyone would pay 100K for just a normal NFT where the data is stored on chain, right? And this is actually the only reason why you have like projects storing the data on like Amazon or like centralized services, but just connecting this on chain because it's quite cheap, right? But then of course you lose basically the
bad practice.
Yeah, exactly. You can lose your NFT, right? Like you can use what's behind that image. And then we saw actually storage networks like KYVE, right, coming up where they optimized for storage. But the problem is, if you optimize for storage, you have a slow chain, right? Because you can really think about it, right? It's like heavy, big chunks of data, right? It's like, think about it like very like picturesque, right? Like pretty, like it's heavy, like it's slow if you need to carry it, right? That's why KYVE has a block time of 10 minutes, right? And I mean, being used from like Solana, where it's like a few milliseconds, right? That's also, by the way, a reason why Solana has like scalability problems, right? Because like they try to carry the data and be fast, right? And usually one of the other doesn't work, right? This is really where KYVE comes in at the central piece, right? Allowing blockchains to offload the data, store it on the slow chain, so to say, right? Like KYVE takes care of storing that, but then also being able to then like get access to the data pretty fast, right? So like one pretty cool use case of KYVE, what you could do is you could use like, for example, Avalanche like consensus algorithm, right? To like be super fast on like storing the blocks, and then you shoot them immediately through KYVE, and then you don't worry about them anymore, right? So you build super lightweight nodes that are easy to scale, easy to maintain, because you know that, well, KYVE is taking care of all the data storage, right? So again, it's really like, it's actually pretty interesting that we haven't seen this happening on Web3 earlier, because actually in Web 2, right, we are so used to like starting to split up all those big old IT systems into those so-called microservices, right? So like for the non-devs here, if you're like interacting with a web app, right, actually not interacting with one server, you're interacting with like a server that's like optimized for users, one server is optimized for products, and so on. And right there, we already started splitting out applications into like different structures, and that's what's happening now on Web3, right? IBC, we're becoming more interoperable, right? KYVE, we're becoming like more efficient for storage, and so on. And basically, this is the main problem, right, that the KYVE solves, right? To make it more like tangible, right? Another problem is also that the data is pretty condensed in those blocks, right? It's pretty hard to access for developers. Like it's super tricky to just find the one piece of data you're looking for, right? So that's also something KYVE solves, right? By basically taking a second look at the data and storing only prices, for example, in a different part of the storage. It's then super easy for developers to just access the data they need, right?
You're right. I mean, okay, guys, and if you say that the Riewe, I would, maybe I'm wrong, but let's say it can store a big amount of data without the problem, but the Riewe a bit slow, and you say that you found a solution to speed up the queries through the data stored in Riewe. How you do this, guys?
Basically
in this sense, or
yeah, I mean basically by separating like computation and consensus from storage, right?
okay.
It's basically like finding, like we have KYVE, you have KYVE as your consensus layer, right? Making sure your data is valid, right? And then storing it in a separate step, so to say, right? That's kind of like the idea. And actually there's a project, actually, to be honest, it's less us than a different project they called Bundler for Riewe, right? It's like an optimization for Riewe that like really took this to another level. And we are of course using that technology as well. Like we're not right now, but like we have a partnership with them. So we're going to use them as soon as we are ready. And yeah, no, that's basically the way you do it. And of course, then it allows developers to do basically go absolute crazy, right? If you don't have to worry about that.
Sure. So you just announced a new partnership with Bundler, right?
Actually, it has been announced. It has been announced.
It has been announced.
Yeah.
I mean, during our talk, okay, this is a new name comes up. Cool. So they're doing kind of the better performance for storing data in using RWave, and you using also their solution to help. Okay, cool.
Exactly. Actually, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think around like 80 to 90% of RWave traffic is already going through Bundler, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Wow.
think like 95% now, because yeah, I think like I mean, it's just like a win-win situation because it speeds up, block time significantly, because it's basically just like a proof that at some point in time this will be like included on chain, and actually the more of the entire Arweave like transaction and block space bundler gets, actually the more efficient it gets. So it's like kind of a win-win situation there.
Yep. Yeah, cool. But if I'm talking from the, for example, Web 2 perspective of you, and I'm just Web 2 user, I see your KYVE project and I want to store, I don't know, let's say my family pictures in blockchain. Is it the solution for me or not? What do you think, guys?
No, it's not. Actually, like that's the one thing that we always say is like we will tell you whether or not you should use KYVE, and for like that specific thing, you should not, because like the thing is like if you're storing on Arweave or even like Google Photos or something like that, it's going to be significantly cheaper than anything we're storing on KYVE, and that's because of course we need to incentivize our nodes and our network to validate that data as well. And so, in the case of blockchain data and ledger data and, very important on-chain information that you want to preserve forever, that is, of course, important and worth paying extra for. But, in the case of family photos, you don't really need to decentralize that or validate that, in our opinion. And so, of course, then you can just go ahead and then store it directly on Arweave or Google Photos or wherever.
I see. Okay. There's like in my mind, you're just opening some puzzles, and all the project KYVE builds for me, or I see it more clear. But there is still one piece I wanted to talk to you guys. Probably maybe can explain me a bit more easy way. Just imagine I want to use, or I'm the consumer of your product, and I want to use and read some data from the blockchain. If it's a Cosmos, I know that if I'm running the node, I can start up from the snapshot. So theoretically, I don't need to have a big ledger, and it's a pretty good situation to minimize your data storage. But for sure, I don't have the full ledger. It's true, I don't have the full history data. But how I will use KYVE in this way? Would it be? Is it possible to cure your data somehow using GraphQL, or I need to build on the top something, another layer to cure the data? Can you just give example how this can be used by, for example, NFT market?
It's actually quite fun that you bring it up, because that's actually like a new thing we have launched, but we haven't fully announced it yet. It's called Warp. You can go to warp.kyve.network, WRAP. Maybe I would just put it in the chat for the others.
Please.
And it's literally you access KYVE data through GraphQL.
Wow.
So, there you go. Put it in the chat here. Oh, can I put it here? Yep, there we go. Warp KYVE network. And basically, we are connected to to most of the pools. If you guys have if you guys want to get access to other pools, let us know. But it's basically fully indexed GraphQL data, and you can query over any sub data. So you can do whatever you want. You can say, well, please give me all FMOS transactions where there has been more than one FMOS being transferred, for example.
And it's communicate with your pools, right?
Yes, exactly. So
it's exactly what I wanted to know. Now the puzzle is here. Thanks a lot.
Exactly.
I see. Yeah, this is a really cool case.
Yeah.
So, but if I queue this data, do I need to pay for it, or how? No. The requests?
No. So this is the part where most people have trouble understanding how tokenomics work, right? But data access is free, right? And why can it be free? Well, because we store it on Arweave already, right?
Yes.
And Arweave data access is public and free. But why? Well, because let's say, right, you're a developer, right? And you're building an NFT marketplace using KYVE data, right? Like
Yes.
let's say you use Solana data. Well, then
Yes.
a KYVE pool has a funding of KYVE tokens, right? That over time, right, the funding gets paid out to the nodes that are storing the data as a reward, right? And if a pool would run out of funding, the pool stops, right? It doesn't produce any new data. But of course, you as a business operator, right, of course, dependent on the data. So what will you do? Right, you will purchase new KYVE tokens and put them in as funding. But because not only you are dependent on Solana data, right, maybe 100 other people are, that all of those 100 people will eventually do this, right? And so basically you are sharing the costs, right? Instead of you, and this is a big burden for businesses, right? Because right now, Bitcoin block zero looks the same all across the world, right? But it's, I promise you, it's in at least 10,000 databases. Bitcoin block zero is in there. Well, why? Because there is no central place yet to get access to Bitcoin block zero, right? This is exactly what KYVE is, right? And now basically you're just paying a fraction of a cost to always have, well, free access for it the moment it's stored.
I see. So that it means that but I don't need to go with cooperation to people who wants to fill the pool as well. This is our own decision, right? Like, and okay.
Yeah, because basically once a piece of data has been stored, right?
Yes.
Someone paid for it. Someone, right? Maybe we as a foundation, the project foundation, someone paid for it already, and from there on it's stored. Because that's the cool thing about blockchain. It's never ever going to change. It's ever going to stay the same, right? Bitcoin block zero will look the same forever.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, you just pay for it once, and you're good to go, basically. And it's super cool, right? Because if you think about it now, if you now get away from KYVE only works for blockchains, right? KYVE works for any type of data. You can now store the full history of like euro to USD pricing on chain, like through KYVE on Arweave. And then every single fucking smart contract out there through Exceller, you can use USD to euro price from like one source because it's validated, right? Like it's trustless, by the way. It's a thing our community likes to mess up. When something is trustless, you don't have to trust it, which is good, right? You don't want to trust it. You want to make sure it's trustless. So it's a trustless data stream that's unique all around the world. And you can just access it wherever you want, from wherever you want, right?
And it's one time stored, can be used many times.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Exactly. That's like the big vision behind what we're building.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just right now have a few competitors who just got a bit worried about it because that's what you guys doing, to be honest, can beat all the ideas they provide right now. Okay.
Yeah, and like if I would go like one step further, right? An even crazier thing you can do. So Warp right now, right, delivers you the data through GraphQL, right? Which is specific, but like, I mean, we know in like analytics use cases or in a more Web 2 use cases, you might want to use like SQL data access, right?
Yeah.
Through SQL, and then you can connect it to like any BI tooling out there, to any normal database, right? And someone here from the audience, and I'm absolutely fine with that, right, can just build like a SQL access to KYVE data. And then from my point of view, can absolutely monetize it, sell it off, whatever they want to do it, because they will need KYVE data to be able to like use the product. And by that, they will use our protocol, right? Which is what John and I, of course, want, right? Having an active use protocol and seeing it in action. So it's super cool. Basically, we build a huge playground for developers to use whatever, build whatever they want, use whatever they want, and sell whatever they want, so to say, right? So they're like public good for data. That's like the big part of it.
Okay, we just heard a great idea, guys. I don't know who's watching us.
Use it, guys. Reach out to me on Discord. Don't worry about it.
Cool. Yeah, you just amazed me. I need a few seconds to breathe.
Don't worry.
Okay. Let's talk about pools, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can store in pools this whole data, right? And if these pools can fill the data, right? And there is a delegators who needs to delegate and validate. I would say delegator, a validator who needs to validate this all piece of data. How the validation happens? What's their role? Are you checking how it's called? So you have a stream data to the pool, then you take the piece of, you take one block, you compare it with the block who has a different node producer. What's how this works? Can you?
So John, should I take it? Do you want to take it?
I can take it. So the way that we do it is, so we've made, okay, so each pool is actually backed by what we call a runtime. And that's basically a custom logic, which is, always published on GitHub and completely open source. And what we've done about that is we've tried to make it as generic as possible, while also providing all of like the core functionality that interacts with the KYVE blockchain, like built in by default. So like the only things that you really need to extend is like how to get like the current block or piece of data or whatever you want to call that. How to like what is the next piece of data? So like in the case of a blockchain, it's just going to be the current height plus one. And then of course, how do you validate that data? By default, validation, which is answering your question, validation is actually just a simple hash comparison. So in each one of these pools, you can connect to many different data sources. So for example, like Coinbase Cloud or Figment or something like that. And then you pull down the block from those different data sources. And then of course, you're just doing a very simple hash comparison between the two. Now, of course, that's very basic. You can then, of course, extend the default validation function to then be more complex. Instead of a hash validation function, maybe something more like slippage. So in the case of like pricing Oracle, maybe you could do something cool with slippage, because of course, depending on the data source, it's going to be very different responses. Unlike with a blockchain, where the data source should return the same response no matter which provider you're talking to. In the case of like you're talking to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or Huobi or whatever, it's going to be slightly different prices. And so in that case, you can maybe do like a slippage factor where it's like, okay, my local price is whatever. And if that's, up to 0.1% off of, the uploaded, like the current, like proposed price, then of course, then that's valid. So yeah, that's basically how data is validated.
Okay, fine. Stay on this point. Okay, and just imagine, and I'm bad actor. Okay, I wanted to create a pool using my own hacked RPC, and I want to mess up with the data. And using, I wouldn't say, I mean, I really love your UI, guys. This your UX UI you made. It's responsive, cool. You can refresh every grid by separate. It's very cool. And I saw the mechanism to create a pool, and I saw the fields there, right? What you have to fill, and one of the field means the configuration. Configuration, you need to put RPC, and means that I can put theoretically RPC, and which
you can put some bullshit data in there. Yeah.
How I mean, what are this? Who validates that this data is not a bullshit?
Yeah. So like, for starters, because you are going through governance, and while we're on testnet, just to provide security, governance is actually quite quick. But once we're in mainnet, governance is going to be actually quite more of a slow process where the community can then discuss amongst each other the best ways to move forward. So obviously, there's a security factor because you're submitting a governance proposal. Now, let's say, for example, you got through governance somehow, right? Then, of course, the thing is like on KYVE side, we can't know for certain whether or not the data that you give us is correct. We can only say whether or not against other pieces of data, that data is valid. So if we're validating completely wrong data, then we're going to assume it's correct, because if the network agrees, then of course,
it means that the community responsible if this pool goes online.
Exactly.
This is a great idea.
But also, I mean, on the other side, it's like, even if like an incorrect pool would go online, right? Then of course the question is, do you want to use the data, right? I mean, let's say you're proposing a second FMOS pool, with like some fake FMOS data. Well, then someone might find out at a point in time and could just say, look, like the data from this pool is incorrect. So then why would you use it, right? That's the other question. And we're also introducing, John, have we introduced it, or are we going to introduce it in the next update? It's a reset height thing. John, why I want to deep dive into that.
Reset height thing, right? This is okay.
Yeah. No, so like in V6, so I know we're launching like V0.4, then V0.5, then V0.5.3, and now 0.6. We're pushing out a lot of changes, but in this one, it's actually a lot of cool features that we're excited about. But like the ones that specifically Fabian is mentioning is the fact that yeah, you can basically just reset a pool to whatever height you need to. So let's say, for example, there was a bad actor in the pool that somehow managed to take over the entire pool and incorrectly archived, the last 100 blocks of Solana, right?
Yep.
Then what we can do is governance can then vote to basically reset the pool to when the data was still valid before the bad actor came in. And then, of course, repay any people that got slashed from the treasury and whatnot. And then, of course, burn tokens from the bad actor. Like all that is implemented on chain already. And then the cool thing as well is that then you can reset the pool, which then allows you to basically re-index and re-archive that data as well.
And we actually had this happen already, but no one knows about it. I don't know if someone realized it, but from the update from V4 to V5, so 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, we lost 50% progress on pools, roughly, because actually we had a bug in our code on chain. So the thing is, we were uploading and validating correct data, but we weren't storing the correct bundle on chain. We removed the line. We still don't know. It's just a human error, right? Shit like that happens, right? So what we did actually for V5, we manually reset the height for every pool to what it was before we lost the data. This is why basically the pools are now catching up with everything again. Then we were like, oh yeah, that's like a serious thing that can happen, right?
So it must happen on test net. It's totally fine.
It's test net, right? Exactly. Better now than later.
and for sure this could happen because right now you have the task to hack, right? Your pools and some I don't know, I'm not sure of the other task.
So in this case, it was a human error, similar to like the Osmosis LP bug. But like, yeah, of course, we do have the hacking bug bounties and whatnot, and those will, of course, continue until mainnet.
Yeah. So this is totally fine, guys. Whoever hear us, the testnet is face exactly made it for finding such things, and so I understood. Based on this, on the problem you solved, you right now building the solution how to make this automatically by the DAO, using the DAO, right, to vote for resetting the height, and additionally probably slashing the guys who made some stuff, and also by refunding some actors, right?
Exactly. Basically, the governance, we always the goal of KYVE was to always be fully decentralized, right? Not pseudo decentralized, really having a governance control everything. So and the governance guys can do anything on the protocol, right? It's you can pause a pool, right? You cannot delete a pool. That's the only thing that doesn't work. But you can pause a pool. You can slash people. You can refund people. You can just create text proposals for just IDs. We had a text proposal for the scams. Go on the test, and people were using or just buying big amounts of fake users and so on, right? To basically ban them, and decision making. It's a really creative space for people to do something. You can change any network parameter. You can just propose it. You can change any network parameter and things like that. So then actually we also, governance, right? We introduced there that now also everything that's staked and delegated on chain counts in for vote as well. So we're getting much higher turnouts now. So 6, 7, 8% of the networks are actively voting, which is quite a lot, right? It's numbers we usually see in mainnets and stuff like that. So it's really cool seeing how everything bonds together now and really forms this network now. Absolutely.
I see. Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, and the last question on this topic of the data upload and how it works your mechanism. About the roles, I know the validator, right? And the uploader, is it another role, right? It's how I understood what does validator. Uploader, why we need an independent uploader? How uploader can be rewarded for his work, and what exactly the uploader must to do? Is it a different type of application, different type of node he must to run? What?
Actually, no. So it's basically a validator and an uploader is the exact same code. Nothing changes, but the node knows programmatically when to be the uploader, right? And basically, you only get rewarded as a node when you have uploaded some data, right? So it's really important. So every node wants to become an uploader, right?
Yep.
And you're choosing to be an uploader by the amount of stake you have, right? So the more stake you have, the higher your chances to be an uploader, and of course, the more rewards
I see.
get, right? That's the idea. And basically, how it works, it's a it's like a round idea, right? So we can actually simulate it with 3 people. That's perfect, right? First round, I am the uploader, right?
Yep.
And so basically it starts like that. Round 0, no one is the uploader. The fastest who raises his hand is going to be the uploader, right? So that's me, right? I'm the uploader. Perfect. Gonna create the first bundle, right?
Yep.
Upload it to Riewe and tell you 2 guys, hey, please vote if it's correct or incorrect, right? Both of you say, hey, you've done a good job. That's fine, right?
Yep.
And then either you or John are going to be the next uploader. Then I'm going to choose one, right? Let's say both have 50-50. Yep, perfect, right? You're the next one. And then I'm going to close my round saying, yep, I'm done. You are going to be the next uploader. And then it's your turn, right? Then you're proposing, hey.
And then you can validate, right? So
exactly.
It means
now I'm validating. And now I'm validating, right? Now I'm
Sorry,
saying,
John.
yeah, that's right. Or that's incorrect, right?
Sorry,
and
John.
That's basically the idea behind it. It's actually quite simple when you boil it down, right?
I see. Okay, means that every node can be to have to cover 2 roles, right? Also uploader and validator, and who is faster or who. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's actually quite simple. Yeah.
That's quite so. You don't need to have any 2 types of tokens, kind of one for the governance, one for the payments. Okay, that's
actually cool. That's maybe interesting. If you're a node, right? If you're running a node, you need Riewe tokens, R, and KYVE tokens, because you need to pay for storage in R. But if you are just a normal user and you just want to stake or just want to be active in the governance, that's all the same KYVE token. But if you're running a protocol node, you need Riewe tokens and KYVE tokens.
Yeah. Okay. This is interesting, and this is logical. If you store the data on Riewe blockchain, I see.
Because unfortunately, there is no DeFi protocol for Riewe. Like there is no AMM or something for Riewe, because then we could even get rid of that, and you would just pay for KYVE. AMM would convert it, but unfortunately, it doesn't exist. So yeah, you have to have both.
Okay. Thank you for the idea to build a DeFi for the Riewe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good. Yeah, then I mean this is easier, and I understood that I don't need to think, okay, which role I want to select. Do I want to validate or store the, or upload the data? Looks fine. Good. Then, guys, let's talk a bit more in the direction of marketing and the testnet program and tokenomics. Probably we already covered few questions I had, but still, the current testnet phase, how long will it stays?
You mean the current
deadline of the current testnet?
John, what's the date?
Oh, July 20th is the current testnet phase. But of course, like Fabian said, we're going to have multiple phases of testnets after this as well, because we're continuing to test things, finalize things, of course, before mainnet in Q4.
What do you think? Do you want to stop the testnet phase after the mainnet? Maybe you need? No.
Not at all. No.
Not at all. You need guys for this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Means that the testnet phase, so everyone who is listening to us, testnet phase will go further and further and further, right? Okay. And yeah, and what about the I mean, there's a lot of speculations regarding the testnet rewards for the first testnet phase, for the second testnet phase. I don't want to share them with you. Just let probably from the first how it's called, from the first people who is responsible for such things. We just wanted to hear your answer. What's how it works? What is your plan, and so on, please.
Yeah, no. So regarding the rewards, it's going to be as described. Like we haven't changed anything, although we decided it up in 2 phases. We haven't changed anything. It's going to be as in the announcement of the testnet. In that article, I think it's explained how the reward mechanism works, and we haven't touched it. We haven't changed it yet. So basically, some portion of the reward is in the future going to be delegated to node operators, either on chain level or on protocol level, right? And the other part is just going to be paid out to the first 10,000 people in the leaderboard, and then basically just it's like a falling down curve. You can read the real distributions, because I also don't know everything out of my head. But to be honest, also because John said there are going to be multiple phases of testnet. After the 20th of July, that's the phase for the rewards. And after the 20th of July, we're going to have different rewards in terms of like grants, bug bounties, whatsoever. But like from like beginning of whatever it was to like now July, that's like the phase where you get the rewards for.
Okay, so does it mean that the 20th of July is the mainnet date?
No,
No.
not at all. So because what's going to happen is we still have to like fine tune things, especially like parameters. We have to log in, do some research and stuff like that. For mainnet launch, we will still stick to Q4 of this year for mainnet launch.
Exactly. Okay, means that we theoretically can see rewards. What we will get them probably on the Genesis day, right?
Actually, I think you might see the rewards you will get earlier, but of course you're going to be able to access them from Genesis date onwards, of course. But I'm pretty sure you could already pre-calculate if you know which spot you're on in the leaderboard. You can already pre-calculate how many KYVE you would get as a reward for that.
I see. So it's pretty clear, right, and transparent.
Yeah. I think if you do the math, you can calculate it out.
Yeah. There was just a lot of speculations regarding that you probably changed something, but you see, everyone who listen us, everything stays like it was announced. So please read the Medium article. Everything is explained there. Pretty cool. Pretty good. Okay. Right now, I know that you are more concentrated on the testnet where people has to develop something, hack, and do some more crazy things. But what can do people probably for the next phases if they if they're non-developers, for example? Maybe they can continue marketing and so on.
Yeah, I would say that I think the most you can really do is just like use the app. I think we designed the app to be really like not like completely non-tech friendly, but like less tech savvy friendly. I think you can still like delegate your tokens, stake some tokens, play around with new features, be active in the governance. That's probably a very, very big point. We have a forum.KYVE.network, which is pretty unused now, but it's a great place to exchange ideas, right? Even if you're non-tech, in terms of like, well, even non-tech ideas, right? Like, hey, how could we improve like this and that idea? What could we do for non-tech tasks as well, right? If people are interested in providing non-tech tasks, more than happy to, of course, support them on that.
Okay, so means that we can do proposal for you like a non-tech task using the platform, right?
Absolutely.
And if I'm correct, if your proposal won, means that you get tokens for that back, and you also earn points.
Yes, so until the 20th of July, you will get tokens for the incentivized testnet, absolutely. But the way the governance works is basically you have to deposit tokens as collateral, and then you get them back if your vote gets accepted. If you get rejected, then you lose the token. So always make sure that when you take a proposal on chain, right, it will pass. If you're not sure about your proposal, not sure, you just have any random idea, either go to Discord or to the forum and just exchange your ideas on the forum. And then when you guys are sure it will pass, then go to the governance and then vote on it. And then I think it will go forward.
Makes sense. Don't propose bullshit, guys, on the proposal.
That's the way of phrasing it.
Yeah. So good. And also one question regarding tokenomics. Looking on this all things you want to develop, do you want to distribute as much as possible tokens to the community? For example, if there's a different ways of distribution, public sale or airdrop. Do you know already the way how you want to distribute the tokens, and or just for testnet participants? Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the one thing that is 100% certain is for the testnet participants, of course, right? In terms of public sale or airdrop, we haven't, to be completely transparent, like we haven't even team internally decided on anything on that yet, right? So I can neither say yes or no, because I honestly really don't know. But at the testnet, that for sure. And then like with the delegation, so like we always try to like use the tokens we give out, not just like randomly for people to cash out, right? We always want to distribute them to people that know and want to put them to use, right? Through staking, through like securing a network and so on, and then more of like using the rewards then, of course, to make money. I mean, that's the reason why the token is out there, right? For everyone, like, of course it is.
Yep.
So that's like the stuff I can really confirm on. It's like the only confirmed thing right now is for testing participants. We're putting them out. And of course, then once we have like bounty programs, grant programs, well, of course, that's also an easy way to earn tokens, right?
Good. So everyone who asks, is it the public sale tokens of CoinList? The team is not yet decided how the tokens, the distributions happens in the future. So please calm down. So, and by the way, this UI you guys right now developing for the testnet, which has the possibility to on the expert mode, or I like this feature. Give the possibility to do a lot of stuff through the UI. Do you want to keep it for the mainnet, or it's just for the testnet thing?
No, so actually the UI will stay the UI will only improve, I would say, but like it will be the same UI. Like it will not be different UI for mainnet. The only thing that will be removed is of course the Mission Corellia tabs, right? Because that's not going to be in mainnet. But like the core functionality of the website is absolutely going to stay the same, and that's also something we will work on after the V6 release is out. Continuously getting community and user feedback on how we can even further improve, right? That some cool ideas we have is like a data lake explorer, right? So like basically like a nice visualization of like seeing all the data floating around in KYVE and like exactly getting access to that and so on. That's something we want to improve, right? I think the expert mode that we introduced was really to get rid of the problem that people funded without knowing what funded is, right? And then we're complaining that they lost their tokens, which is something we of course don't want to happen in. Like don't want people to happen in mainnet, especially if there's like some real monetary value attached to that. And this is why we introduced the expert mode, for example. So like you really have to know what you want to do if you want to fund a pool.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for answering all the questions above. And now I want to switch, guys, to the question from the community I've got. So let's see, maybe you already answered some of them. Regarding your delegation program from the KYVE, do you plan to have one who will be part of this list? You probably answer. So just to repeat, everyone who participates right now in testnet will be selected for the delegation. So you have to prove your technical knowledge and understood of the protocol, and you need to know how everything used. So please, if you want to, or please go to the app, try it, read it, use the documentation, go through, learn it, and probably you can get the delegations. Do you have a distribution? Okay, this is the answer. Okay, good. There is one question from the community. The community is a bit disappointed, guys. You know, because of what? Because of the test tokens of the KYVE are sold on OTC markets.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy. This is so big hype to the KYVE testnet. This is like a really big hype. And there is a question about the multi-accounts. Yeah. Do you know, guys, or do you have an idea maybe to implement the QAC system? Yeah. How? I hope John comes back. QAC system, how to block the multi accounts, or how to find out who's buying tokens or something like that.
Absolutely. So the thing is, we already have. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the proposal, but we have quite some big internal like analysis. There goes John. Perfect. See you. Basically, to be so we have some internal analysis to figure out where big amount of tokens got moved, right? It's also how we identified all of the like scamming addresses that like abused the faucet. And by the way, everyone that was able to pay their tokens back paid their tokens back, which is, I would say, pretty. I would have never thought it, but everyone who had to pay back the tokens paid back the tokens, and then some couldn't because they got slashed. So they hadn't had enough tokens to pay them back, which is unfortunate, but we will also figure out a solution for that, because if they slashed it already in the treasury, and that's where it's supposed to go anyway. So let's see. But basically, that's like a system we have in place, of course, first of all, like to analyze and find it. And we will, of course, rerun those analytics after the 20th of July, right? To really then figure out, okay, hey guys, like second warning, now like that's it, right? And then of course, once we enter like the KYC phase, we also have some tactics in place to figure out like the multi-account problem. I will not disclose on them publicly right now, just not that anyone's like able to game them, because I'm not being stupid and announce them. So we have some tactics in place there. We also consulted other teams out there, other legal teams out there, how they usually handle that, or what's the best way to handle this is the way going forward for us on that.
I see. Okay, it's very good that guys that you don't close the eyes on all this thing, because I just found out that there is like more than 71,000 participants of the testnet. More than 71,000, I think.
And actually, and this is the real participants, because we have over 400,000 accounts on chain, right?
Wow.
And like the 71 you see are actually addresses that have done actions beside transferring tokens.
Have done actions, correct? Yeah.
Have done actions, which is crazy.
Crazy, really.
Yeah. And John seems to have some unstable connection over there.
Yep.
But no, yeah. So that's pretty insane. Kind of like seeing that, and like also, I mean, the OTC, like that's just something I would never imagine. It's just only in crypto stuff like that happens. Like you could OTC buy those tokens. Shows that our tokenomics works, which is great, by the way, right?
That's very good.
So yeah, no, absolutely crazy things happening.
Yeah, and do you know that I like this last question. When do you think, guys, we need a pool for KYVE itself?
That's honestly a question we have thought about so many times, right? Like, do we need a KYVE pool for KYVE? And the thing is, in theory, it would work. In theory, it would work, right? Because Max is our node guy at us, right? But if I understood this way Cosmos works correctly, right? It's John is back, perfect. So basically, John, the question is, can we have a KYVE pool in KYVE? I said, in theory, yes. In theory, we could store the KYVE data. Like we could store the old KYVE there. It wouldn't be a problem. Actually, it wouldn't be a problem.
I also don't think, guys, this is a problem. You have a Cosmos, right? So
yeah, exactly. John, can we launch a KYVE token, KYVE pool?
KYVE pool.
No, so we can. Yeah, like we always stayed off of it, especially on like the EVM side, because there's definitely some like weird recursion stuff going on there. Yeah. The more I think about it, yeah, recursion does not actually really happen on the Cosmos side. So
that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to run the RPC for the KYVE and start the KYVE pool, but I didn't succeed.
Actually, you should be able to do it out of the box. Just create a new pool for RPC.
That was my idea. So
I will vote for it. I
will try today to finish my registration pool.
Very because see what happens. Worst case, we fork it out, but I think it will work.
Yeah. So let's see in my list. Yeah, you guys, you answered almost all the questions. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, also the question, when is mainnet here, you answered Q4, right?
Absolutely. It's honestly like, if you guys ever in the situation building your own protocol, locking in on the mainnet date is fucking scary and super hard to do, because there is so many, like, like it starts off from like the legal side to the tech side to like other partnerships you're waiting for, right? It's like so many things to consider. It's crazy really locking in on like a date, but of course once we have that and once we're able to announce it and confident we can keep it, because we don't, like I don't want to announce like a date and then just like move it, just rather say, well, Q4, everyone is prepared. It's going to take a while, but then we for sure going to settle in that time frame.
Guys, I mean, I believe everything will be fine and smooth for you. Just for example, the Evmos had to start 2 times mainnet. So, I mean, even it can happen, right? So, but they managed this. The guys who was in the Genesis also helped a lot, and yeah. So I'm sure during the testnet phase you will filter those guys who can really help you and run the Genesis, and yeah, in cooperation everything should be fine and smooth. I wish you really good luck to run your mainnet. I'll try to be with you and supporting you on the all phases.
Thank you so much. And speak you latest in 6 months again. But I think we might chat earlier.
Yeah, it seems
when mainnet is approaching.
Q4, so. Right? I hope to hear from you guys in a half year. Yeah. Okay. I'm done. There is a lot of questions, guys, are in the basket, but we partially answered on all of them. How the node for the mainnet will be selected and so on, and how the what about the governance vote? I mean, there is a lot of questions. I don't want to how did the KYVE network get its name? I can answer.
Yeah, you want to go for it?
Yeah, sure. It's nothing. Some special. It's not a special word. It's just the name you find out, right? Which is sounds good, and it has no any background, right?
It doesn't have the word doesn't exist, but actually comes from the word archive. Because we're
Archive,
archiving data, and then
archiving data.
John just played around with like the types, and then we came to KYVE, KYVE, right? But it sounds, of course, in English like archive.
This sounds same, but
Exactly like AR, and it's even fun because like back in the Arweave days, all project would be called AR in the beginning, like R verify, R drive, whatever, and then it was archive. So
I see.
that's how that happened.
Yeah, no, I like the name. It's very past to a lot of things you're already using, KYVEs and so on. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I want to thank you guys once more, and if you want to add something to this session, please free. No, that's fine. And
from my side.
Good, guys. Then thank you once more, and I wish you a great finishing of the second test phase. I hope you earn a lot from there, and hope to see you in the 6 months, right?
Actually, we'll see each other next week, my friend.
Yes, correct. With you in the France, and probably for everyone who wants to listen us next time.